Hey, Josh Wells, welcome to Sports Spectrum. How you doing?
Great, great. Good to be here.
Good to have you here. Your third child's coming in August. I thought it would be fun to start there. You got a couple little ones, and you got a third one on the way. What's preparation like? Forget the season. This is a whole different
Yeah,
type of preparation here for a third child. What's that been like for you as you come through the spring and summer and getting ready for, baby number three?
yeah. It's chaos right now. The off seasons where I'm trying to bank all my points. Spending so
Yes.
much time with the kids, and it's great. And people say y'all planned it poorly, but it could be a good planning process for me. It'll
Yeah.
be tough. It'll be tough. It'll be an adjustment, um, and some time apart, some time missed, but it'll be worth it in the end.
And she's due in August, so you could be in the middle of a preseason game when this, you kind of work it out. I know that's big in football family circles to try and have babies when the season isn't going on. You can't always plan that, obviously, but it's preseason. When were the other two babies born that you have?
So my daughter was born February 3rd. So that was actually the year when I was playing in Jacksonville. We made it to the AFC Championship game.
Yes.
Never thought that was going to come into play,
Yeah.
but we lost. We lost that. She was born. Can you go?
It's
This
okay.
is my daughter,
Yeah, we're
Raylan.
talking about it right now.
Uh, can you go check with mommy, please?
No, she can't do that.
She can't do it. Do you need to open it? Okay. There you go.
We'll
Thank
pick
you.
it up. Don't worry, Josh. We'll pick it up.
All right, perfect. Sorry about
No,
that.
you're good. Pick it up and with
But yeah,
when were
so
the other two kids born? And I'll just ask it again, then you pick it up, and then I'll edit it. When were the other two
perfect.
kids
Thank you.
born?
So my daughter was born February 3rd.
Yeah.
It's the Friday after the AFC Championship game that we lost in New
Oh,
England,
yeah.
which was kind of obviously upset we lost, but super excited to that timed up perfect. I had the whole off season. My son was born middle October 9th,
Okay.
um, 3 seasons ago. So we've done it all off season, middle season, and now if I'm going to miss some time, it might as well be training camp. So
And it becomes a zone, not a man-to-man anymore, right? When you have
yeah,
three.
I have no idea. I've tried to talk to people, but it's like when I talk to people that don't have kids and try to explain to them how much it changes, I don't think you really can wrap your head around it till you just get thrown in the fire.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, congratulations. We're
Yeah.
excited for you and your wife and your whole family for baby number three. And it's funny, as I was preparing for this conversation, I'm looking at your journey. It's pretty remarkable when you think about it. It's 8 seasons, going on season nine now, right, in the NFL.
Yes, sir.
Undrafted O lineman from James Madison, and you get to the Jaguars. What do you think 23-year-old Josh Wells in 2014 would have thought if I told him you'd play 8 years, win a Super Bowl, two conference championship games? What do you think that young guy coming out of college would have said if I told you that's what you'd be signing up for?
Just think, I would think that I would be satisfied. I feel like when I first got in the NFL, I was like, man, if I can just get to vested, or if I can just start, if I can just play a couple years, then I will have, done what I'll be satisfied, I guess, in my career.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting as I go on and play, how my purpose has kind of shifted completely. But yeah, I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't think it was going to happen. Um, and I would just know that God would kind of have to step in to make it happen. So,
Well, it sounds like your purpose shifted, is what you just said. Can you kind of take me through what you mean by that as your career was unfolding?
yeah, I wasn't a believer when I came into the NFL. And kind of halfway through my rookie year, I was undrafted, like you said, and was a long shot to even make the team. Um, and then made the team, got engaged, got a truck and a little apartment, and everything looked great on the surface. And then, yeah, that's kind of a little my testimony is I had all these things checked of kind of worldly things, and I wasn't satisfied. Just was kind of depressed, down on myself, and
Hmm.
yeah, then realized where my purpose lied, and then just kind of was the quiet believer for a couple years. And then now I truly feel that my purpose is to kind of pour into younger guys. I know my role as a swing tackle, and to just be an example on how I come to work, to lead younger guys, and obviously contribute to my team and walk the way that I'm supposed to walk.
Take me through the moment, if there was one moment or, a period of time where you kind of understood that this faith thing was an important thing to begin or to say yes to.
Yeah, well, I guess preseason, my second season, second preseason game, and we're talking about preseason games. It's kind of funny, and
Yeah.
They let Stefan Wisniewski led kind of our chapel before we played New York, our second preseason game, my second year. He probably doesn't even know this, and he kind of gave his testimony through chapel. I surrendered my life to the Lord. Our chaplain gave an opportunity for people who never have to surrender their life. He gave his testimony, and I truly felt should surrender my life right there. It was the first time I just kind of opened my eyes to it.
Wow.
And my heart. And then, that very next day, I played in a preseason game, and I went on injured reserve. So it wasn't quite the
God, really? This is what I signed up for?
Yeah, for sure. But I would say that was the big time I surrendered my life. And then I would honestly say 2-3 seasons later, it really took me to kind of wrestle with, and I still wrestle with, kind of the approval, the pride of life aspect of it. I would say that was the big turning point. And then getting cut from Jacksonville was the first time I got released. That was another huge one. Went to Tampa and kind of felt I felt like I let everybody down. Felt like I let my family down, let my kids down. Kind of got there, and that kind of was like, man, God can still use me in somewhere else, and it's kind of a fresh start, and kind of allowed me to start more vocal in my faith is when I got to Tampa. So.
Who are some of the people, maybe in your time in Jacksonville, and then even coming to Tampa, who have poured into you, who have helped you in this journey and helped you grow, and maybe even discipled you a little bit?
Yeah, so when I've had some, looking back, my roommate when I first got to Jacksonville for OTAs and through camp was Tyler Shatley, plays center in Jacksonville. He's year 9. He was undrafted. We came in together. He was in OTAs. He was the only one with a truck. And he said, on Sundays, I go to church. You can come with me if you want, or you can sit in a hotel. And I was a good guy, quote, good guy. And I was like, no problem. Let's go to church. And he lives 4 doors down, has 3 kids as well, my best friend in the world. So he was the start of, I think, just this domino effect of the Lord chasing me. And then, I've had Mo Williams as the chaplain in Jacksonville now. And then Duke Preston in Tampa is our player development, but our chaplain. I've just Nick, the small time I'm with him, and that's what is kind of stood out to me is
Nick Foles you're talking about.
Yeah, Nick Foles. Yeah, small time that you can be with someone, and then the effect that they can have, and especially looking back before I was a believer and had these people just kind of in my life. Had some great examples for sure.
That's cool. Josh Wells is our guest here on Sports Spectrum. You get to play one more year, and it's weird to say that, but that's what it is in the NFL for a lot of guys. And you signed a 1-year deal, and you're back with Tampa. Your quarterback is back as well. And then I just read recently, I don't know if you saw this, his contract with Fox Sports and his post-playing career journey is all set too. And I'm like, if I'm Josh Wells, I'm hanging out with Tom Brady. I want to hang out on that yacht, for the next 30 years with him, because holy cow. But just the fact that he came in, and obviously everything changed when he came to Tampa, and you all went on and won a Super Bowl and have had 2 really good seasons the last few years. When you saw that he was announced that he had returned after retiring, what were you thinking in that moment? I mean, you're trying to figure out if you're going to return as well, but I'm imagining you're paying attention to the rest of your roster as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been phenomenal. I've been a phenomenal person in the locker room, a teammate.
Yeah.
I've never been around, I guess, a leader like him um, to raise the level of play way up here, but the confidence to kind of meet that level is way up here because he's with you.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think that's a sermon in itself, but I think that like
Yeah.
he just has this confidence and he's just as hard on himself. He cares. What our purpose is for being there. But yeah, so I saw him come back. Tampa is where I feel like I'm called to be. I want to be. My wife and kids. Obviously, there's conversations primarily with her
Yeah.
about where I will continue to play and want to continue to play. And when he's there and in the room, we have a chance to win it all. Yeah, it's phenomenal. I saw that and super happy for him for his post career, whatever that starts, whether that's a year, 2, 3. So who knows?
I mean, he's 45, I think, this year in August, and who the heck knows how long he's. I mean, he was clearly, and you can tell me better than most people who are listening. Your last game was against the Rams, I think, that last divisional playoff game, and he threw
Yeah.
that touchdown and brought you guys back. And I'm thinking, why in the heck would you retire? Just because you're still at the top of your game. And I understand there's a lot of other things that go into even just
Yeah.
returning for one more season, like you said, family and the work that you have to put in. But you watch a guy and he's still at the top of his game at 44 years old. And you've been around this game a long time. It's got to be the most unique thing I've ever seen as a fan. I have to imagine playing him to be that good. I mean, when he came in the league, I'll do the quick math. You were 10 years old, by the way, when he came in the league. Think about that. And
Right.
he's still going strong and probably one of the top 3 quarterbacks, if not the best in the league. What was it about him that you've seen that's been just, is there some experience or a practice or even in a game where you thought, oh my gosh, how is he still doing this at this age?
Yeah, it just his preparation. Obviously, he's been blessed with unbelievable talent, his work ethic. Um, Truly not a negative thing that I don't think I've taken away from him. And I'm sure he fights the same battles that we all fight um, on a different scale. I'm sure the approval things and the family stuff, and I think sometimes people can put him up on this thing of like they don't even like he's human. He goes home to a wife and kids, and but super excited for him to be back. I'm sure he had to wrestle with a lot of things, but selfishly glad to be able to play with him again and learn from him, and watch how he just prepares and fiery at practice and even more fiery during games. Um, and the few times he does become vocal in a pregame speech or a post-practice talk, just trying to take what I can from him and carry it into my life more than just football.
Yeah, I would absolutely be that. I mean, if I was around somebody like that, and I had the honor to work at ESPN for many years, and I felt that way when I was around some of those, legendary broadcasters. I'm like, if I could just like be in the same room and just listen, right?
Yeah.
I would learn something. I would take it away, for wherever God brings me into my next phase of life. And I have to imagine just being in meetings and being in the same room in many ways. A lot of guys like yourself are probably thinking the same thing. What can I take away from somebody like this that I can take with me forever?
Yeah. Yeah. Just to be a part of it, right? And to slow down and not just like realize the magnitude of what it is to be on the same team, but to also realize we're teammates. We have the same purpose, the same goal, and to go and be a contributor to the team alongside of that.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing.
Josh Wells is our guest here on Sports Spectrum from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I want to ask you about the Josh Wells from Mechanicsville, Virginia, even BC, right before Christ. Who is that Josh Wells? Tell us about that guy.
I come from small town. Two of the hardest working parents I've ever seen in my life. Went to church a little sporadically growing up. It wasn't a big emphasis, I'd say. Just was taught to work hard. You'll get what you work for. You get what you deserve. Respectful. Yes, sir. Yes. To the just a small country upbringing, which is, I truly can look back and say it's helped me become who I am. And when I stepped into my faith, had great valuable lessons in that. But yeah, just played a bunch of sports growing up. Like I said, small town. And then through high school, I kind of look back and had no idea how I made it without, obviously the Lord was with me then, because man, I just was all over the place. The good kid, but could get away with doing a lot in a small town. And where's Mom? Can you go to her, please? Thank you. God.
Just keep going. Small town.
Yeah. But yeah, just small town upbringing, great parents. Didn't realize how hard they worked to give us what we had. And never realized I didn't say we didn't have a lot, but just the sacrifices they made to make it happen. And
sure.
Through high school, just normal high school problems, and was walk on to college. So I had no scholarship offers and just thought it'd be fun to go give it a shot. I was a quarterback in high school, so that was a fun transition to.
I was going to say, wait a minute, quarterback to offensive line. That's not the normal transition.
Yeah, so I played quarterback my whole life. From time I was obviously through Little League, I played every position I could, but quarterback on offense. And middle school, I was a quarterback. High school, I started 4 years at quarterback. Obviously was not the greatest because I had no offers, and it was a walk on to college.
Yeah.
And so, walked on, played tight end, defensive line, and then kind of found my spot at O-line 3 years into college. So
have you made it your purpose to tell the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that you were a quarterback in high school, and maybe they can run put something into the playbook for Josh Wells? They're all expecting Tom Brady to throw the touchdown pass, but why not Josh Wells?
I think we'll leave it to the greatest to do it. Yeah.
You want to catch a team off guard though, Josh. Think about that,
for
right?
For sure. Yeah. No, it was definitely, we'll joke about it, things like that, but I'll stick to my day job.
So the fact that you walked on in college and then still got an opportunity in the NFL, was there a moment at James Madison where you thought this might take place and could be a possibility? Because from just the outside perspective, you're not thinking NFL if you're walking on at James Madison with no position, in essence, right? Tight end, okay, we'll try that. Okay, offensive line, we'll find that. But you're not thinking NFL, I have to imagine, when you get to James Madison. But there has to be a point where maybe you're thinking, oh, this might be something, because even though you didn't get drafted, there's still teams that are obviously looking at you.
Yeah. No, I think my mom still has a letter from when I was like 6 or 7. And it says, like, my teacher asked me a question, or I got in trouble for not doing my homework, and I told her I didn't have to do it because I was going to play in the NFL. But I think, like a lot of kids, I had the dream of playing in the NFL. But like you said, when I walked on to college, my goal was always just to be the best to play. When I got to JMU, I was like, look, I just have to earn a scholarship to help myself pay for college, because it's not getting paid for. My parents obviously did everything they could to pay for what they could, but I need to earn a scholarship to help my family out. So it was always just kind of the year that was ahead of me is what my goal was. And then I would say after my junior season, or redshirt junior year, is when I was like, oh man, like this might actually be a reality. And then, going into my senior year, and things, obviously I wasn't a believer at the time. And that's what's it blows my mind every time I look back at that.
Yeah.
That he was at work to bring me to Jacksonville, where I ultimately surrendered my life to the Lord, when I had no belief in him at the time, and to give me the opportunity to play in the NFL just shows a lot, I think.
Yeah, I love that you can look back and see God's hand, even though you at the time you weren't believing in God, because He has a plan,
Yeah,
whether we believe in Him or not, right?
right.
And it's fascinating to look at your career and look at your journey. Take me to 2020, because I that was such an interesting year for obvious reasons about everything going on. But for football, no fans in the stands, or very minimal fans in the stands in certain areas. And then the Super Bowl, I remember being in Tampa that week leading up to the Super Bowl. And we have our setup usually at Radio Row at the convention center, which obviously you guys aren't worried about that. But there was maybe 9 of us. And
Yeah.
normally there's hundreds and hundreds of people at Radio Row each year, even in Los Angeles this year. But last year in Tampa, there was nobody. And yet we wanted to be there just in case. And it was a weird thing happening that a team was playing a home Super Bowl for the first time ever, but it was a COVID year. When you think back to that year, what's the first thing you say when people ask you about that season?
I would just tell it like it was so different, but I think as we made it as normal as possible. I think that we just were, um, yeah, it just was like you said. Everybody was going through so much. We are focused on so much, trying to just get through it.
Yeah.
Um, that I would say we just had to make sacrifices, like everybody else, just to stay. Like couldn't go out to eat and couldn't do this, and it kind of brought us closer together. And then that was obviously Tom's first year, and having that leadership, I can look back and say that that was huge. Just kept our focus on what our goal was, and it's just kind of that's all kind of a blur to test every day and everything like that. But yeah, it worked out. It worked out.
I'd say so. What's your favorite moment from that year, or even that playoff run? Because I remember we talked to a bunch of guys, your teammates, and I remember Coach Clyde Christensen was on. Right after you all had beaten Green Bay at Lambeau, and you could just sense gratitude and just this opportunity. But for you, what was the moment for you in that run that stands out?
I would, yeah, I would go along with Clyde and say right after Green Bay, knowing that you're going to play in that game, and to do it at Lambeau, and that was the first time I had an opportunity to play there.
Mm,
So I would say right after that, the excitement of winning that game, and then to realize I'm 2 weeks away from playing in the Super Bowl. Playing in the Super Bowl was great, but once it like kicked off, it was just a game.
yeah.
Truly, it felt that way to me. I'm just trying to win and then celebrate it after. But during it, I didn't feel that way. I just felt like it was a normal game. But then right after Green Bay, realizing we're about to go was probably for me. Up until that point, it felt normal. Let's just win the game and move on. Win the game and move on. But the flight back from Green Bay was like, man, this is really cool.
That had to be one of the coolest things, even if it was a COVID year, of just accomplishment and achievement. Like I said, that undrafted kid, that walk on that didn't even have a position, suddenly get to hoist a Lombardi trophy. Where do you keep your ring? You got a Super Bowl ring. I saw those rings. Everybody saw them last year. Those things are gigantic. Where's
Yeah.
yours? Where do you keep your ring?
It's actually in my safe.
Safe. Have you
I
worn it at
just
all,
yeah,
or is it just been sitting there for a year?
no, I haven't worn it at all. It's been sitting there. I'll show some friends that come over. It's just like kind of a conversation piece, but it's been in the box in my safe, locked away, and um, I don't know if there's really a time you can wear it unless you go to a ceremony and win another one.
I mean, that's what Brady
Uh,
does, right? He's got like
yeah,
ever how
I would
many he
imagine.
has.
Yeah, I would imagine that's the only time I would wear it. Other than that, until I can find a safe way to put it up on the shelf or something,
And you can't do
it
that
just sits in my safe.
because it's out there. It's not in the safe anymore. I tell you, a lot of
Yeah,
broadcasting guys that I used to work with would break it out when they would go do appearances at ESPN or
yeah,
wherever else. That's like, I'm
yeah,
on set, I'm wearing the suit, and I'm wearing the ring. That was about
yeah,
it. That's when they would break it
yeah,
out. But you still got to
yeah. That's what's
travel with it,
interesting.
right? You still got to
Yeah,
travel.
no, that's what's interesting. It kind of just sits in my safe, and it's a super. Obviously, it's incredible. I mean, that's what I worked for in the sport, is to win that. But it's kind of crazy how quickly I went from winning a Super Bowl to 2 months later, I'm worried about free agency and where I'm going to play the next year, and that's kind of in the past. And then
Yeah.
it's like, let's go win another one, you know. And
Yeah.
it's crazy how fleeting that feeling was of like, I would say, I woke up at, I don't think I really went to sleep that night, and then my kids woke up at 7 a.m. and were like, let's go to the park, and you know, it just was kind of. It was super. It was a cool kind of surreal feeling that I was just pushing my kids on the swing at 8 a.m. the next morning after the Super Bowl. So
Now that's funny. And of course
yeah,
you were, because you guys were home, which on
right,
a normal
yeah,
year, when you're on the road or somewhere else at a neutral site, you're getting on planes, you're trying to figure out
yeah,
travel. You're just going back home to your house and pushing your
yeah,
kids on the swing the next morning.
right. Like you said, I wasn't like real much traffic after the game.
Right,
Wasn't
because
that
there
many
wasn't hardly
people.
anybody there.
Yeah, I got home, and after I changed, a little 15-minute drive home, and went out obviously with everybody and had a blast. And
Yeah,
yeah, then we just went to our little local park that was right up the street. So
that's it. And you push your kids. And it also shows, as we wind down, how hard it is to win one, because last year you guys had a great opportunity again. And
yeah,
obviously it didn't end the way you wanted it to. You lost to the eventual champs in the Rams, but it shows, and you've played in an AFC championship game when you were with Jacksonville. It shows how hard it is just to even get to one of these games, much less win it all.
yeah. I mean, you look, we would have these things toward the end of the year in the meetings, and it would just say like X amount of practices left, you know, if we go to Super Bowl, and then X amount of games just to get there. And then you look back at where you've come from and the practices, even like the off-season workouts and everything, and then the years if you've never won one of trying to get one.
Mm.
Um, and it was super hard to slow down in the moment to enjoy it. And I'm sure I still haven't fully enjoyed the magnitude of what it is, because obviously right now I'm working out and trying to win another one this year.
That's right.
Um, but yeah, you think back of how many lifts and practices just from that year and hours of meetings, and to think 53 active guys and a handful of practice squad guys and a handful of coaches win every year, and that's it. You
That's it.
know,
Yeah.
shows the blessing I think it is, and the hard work it does take to get there, and um, right spot, right time, right opportunity. I think it all gets tied in.
Yeah, right quarterback too. That helps. Right coaching staff, all that stuff.
No
As we
doubt.
wind down, my last question, Josh, for you: when you think about all that God has done in your life and this newer faith, I'm not saying it's brand new, but it's only
Yeah.
a few years old here. What do you think the lesson is that God has taught you and shown you when you think about where He's brought you to today?
That no matter um, how much I try to do it on my own sometimes, um, how much of a father he is. I would say, as my third kid's on the way, and how much of a good father that I try to be to them, and to think it's not even, it pales in comparison to how much he wants for me,
Hmm.
um, and to think that I almost feel like I was given this opportunity to play in the NFL for 9 years, or going on 9, and to win a Super Bowl, to almost be like, it's crazy how much it can't satisfy me. Um, but yet how much he still wants to give me good gifts. Um, yeah, I would tell my buddy Tyler all the time, like I almost feel like he's allowed me to keep playing football, because in training camp, when I just fall on my face just to get through, praying in the morning, like, help me get through this practice,
Yeah.
um, and then to have so much like glory in football terms, and then to realize the next morning at 8 a.m. I'm pushing my kids on the swing, um, trying to be the best father I can be, to know that he's made that happen.
And they love you. I can hear them. They've come in and and made sure they
Yeah,
hung
so
out
I
with
have
Daddy a couple times.
I have raspberries
Nice.
and
What up?
cereal.
Cereal. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
who is
Did you
that with
take
you?
this is Ryan.
Hi,
Ryan, come
Ryan.
say hi.
Ryan, you're on the
Uh,
podcast, buddy. Hi, buddy.
there you go, buddy.
How old's
All
Ryan?
right. Ryan's 2.5.
Okay.
He's 2.5. So yeah, so
That's
he's
the
very
best.
excited. The groceries got delivered.
Oh, that's a big deal. So it's like
Yeah.
Christmas morning, right?
Yes, he's very excited. So
That's awesome. Josh, you're the best, buddy. I really appreciate you. Thanks so much for joining us. Your story is awesome. And hopefully we'll get you back on again. Maybe after winning another Super Bowl. We'll have to see. But thanks for joining
let's
us.
do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Jason. Appreciate it.